He is the head gov, Austin Peay head coach Jeff Faris. I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com, and this is the Our Coaching Network podcast. Coach, off to a quick 2-1 start, including winning a money game to open the season at rival MTSU or in-state foe MTSU. Welcome to the program. Congrats on the fast start.
John, Pat, honored to be here. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, we should note that we're recording this at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, where you are there in Stashville, as they call Clarksville. And you have been on the go since 4:30 this morning because that's a standard wake up call. So we'll start right there. I want to know, especially when it's game week like this, and you guys have another one coming up on Saturday, what's a typical day like for you? You can start with Sunday and then fill me in through Tuesday.
Yeah, so Sunday's crazy because you're really trying to put the previous game to bed while getting a jump on the opponent. So um, that's probably the earliest morning. You never sleep well, win or loss. And I get in first thing, and then you got to watch the game in its entirety, the continuous copy, offense, defense, special teams. And then we will get together as a staff 12:30, so guys have a chance to go to church. And we'll have cut-ups made. Hey, let's talk about this and ask questions and just make sure we're on the same page moving forward, can clean the things that we need to. And then by, let's say, 1:30, we're on to the next opponent. And, putting our plans together for the rest of the week. Our player off day is Sunday, and then Monday we bring them in, we lift them, team meet, and we actually walk through Monday night. So we change that, and then we practice Tuesday morning. So I've always been a morning person. My wife doesn't always love that. So 4:30 wake ups, and then here until we feel like we're in a good position to dominate the day and win our process.
You love the grind, don't you? Like I've spent time around you. I was there embedded with the Govs in the spring. Like you love the grind.
Yeah, I love what I do, and I think anybody that is good at what they do has to be passionate about it. And there's probably other professions that could have pursued. I would not be as good because I wouldn't have the passion. I learned that from Coach Cut a long time ago. He said, Jeff, if you could see yourself doing anything else, don't do football coaching. I never could. Probably the only time I ever lied to my dad, trying to, do I want to go to Harvard, Brown, or Duke? And he's like, well, keep your mind open. If you go to Duke, maybe be a doctor or something like that. And, once I started playing for Cut, I never had my mind open for a second, and I knew this is what I wanted to do.
You're cheating a little bit because I had talking to you about some of your influences on my mental list of questions. We'll get to that in a moment. You just said something interesting that I saw firsthand. You said you love what you do, the people you're around. That's important. I've seen it firsthand. You welcome not just your wife and lovely kids around the program, but you encourage your assistants to bring their wives and families around the program. Why is that so important to you? And talk to us about the fact that your wife's getting ready to bring lunch for the whole staff this week.
Yeah, so this is the best profession known to man. I don't care when people attack it and say it's a different era. It's still coaching football. We get to coach football, be with young people, and try to find ways to score. But it is a big sacrifice, not just for us, but for our families. And they're as much in this thing as we are, and probably more. The job that my wife does, there's no chance I could ever do what she does. I mean, unbelievable. And what an example she sets for our children. But they're as much in this as anybody. And what I love about Austin Peay is that I get to do this with my best friends. And my wife's best friends happen to be oftentimes my best friends' wives or girlfriends. And it's just a family environment. I learned that firsthand from Coach Cut. The first person that knew or that I told I was going to propose to Natalie Scarborough at the time, now Natalie Faris, was Coach Cut and Mrs. Karen. When it's a family thing, it's just different. And I think while we may not have had all the resources that other ACC competitors had, we overachieved. And a big reason why was Coach Cut's leadership, but the family environment that was created. We never looked to go anywhere else. Coach Cut raised us in this business. And, you look at that tree and there's a lot of people that, were led by Coach Cut. They're having tremendous success.
Love that. And I love the candor with which you speak. And also, you're smart enough to keep recruiting your wife with those comments right there.
Always. Date nights as often as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Molly Scarborough. Advice on her wedding speech.
You talk about love and you experience some of the toughest love that anyone can have to go through earlier this year. Not long after we at Football Scoop visited with you and went behind the scenes, and that was you lost a player right as guys broke for the May time off before returning for summer. How have you navigated that? What have you learned about your team and yourself and your community in this process?
We learned so much about our team, and our players gave me some strength. Um, when I got that phone call, I've never experienced anything like that. And what our players have done, they made a commitment to William Hardrick, his family, and one another that we were going to honor Will in our thoughts, words, and actions in everything we did. And, it started with Zoom meetings. Our kids were gone. You couldn't put your arms around them and say it's going to be okay. And we called a bunch of Zoom meetings, and, we had itineraries, but I think half of it was so that I could see them and be, helped by their strength. And, we've done a number of things, and their strength has really blown me away. This past Saturday, we played Morehead State at 6. We had not a moment of silence, but a moment of celebration. One of the things I haven't done much well, but one of the things I did well in this circumstance was I called every coach I knew. Cut, Coach Kelly, Kenny Amatalolo, have you ever gone through this? And what did you do that helped? Because I need to help my players. And I think it was Coach Nehemiah was, talking about, I think what had happened at Utah and what he had heard and learned from. And if you ever met William Hardrick, and you probably did that day, John,
Yeah.
he had the most infectious personality, smile. He celebrated more when other people had success than when he made a pick. And everybody loved football, and they weren't realizing that they were working harder than they ever had because of Will Hardrick. So we did that this Saturday, and there was not a dry eye in the house. 17 Hardrick family members were there. We beat MTSU on August 30th. On August 31st, which is Will Hardrick's birthday, we got the team Waffle House. That's his favorite restaurant. He's from Birmingham, Alabama. Every Saturday we play, a different player will wear number 0 to honor him. And kind of our rallying cry, our mantra this year is we will. So no matter what happens, we will. And, I'm so thankful for the Hardrick family for sharing him with us, and so thankful for our players for the strength they provided me.
Powerful. That is powerful. That's coaching. That's leadership. That needs to be a lot of what college athletics is about, minus the terrible loss. You've touched a few times on some of your mentors and some of the people you've been around, but I want to name it out specifically. You played for David Cutcliffe at Duke and then worked under him. You've been with Chip Kelly and Ken Niumatalolo at UCLA. What do you bring specifically from any of your influences? What do you bring on a day-to-day basis? But specifically those three, what do you bring on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, John, I don't think there's a luckier young coach in the country to work under Coach Cut and Coach Kelly and play for Cut. I was with Coach Cut from 08 to 21. He's like my second dad. And, Coach Billerman's our OC here. He does a phenomenal. He's the best. And I'll do something and he'll like hit me on the side and be like, that's straight from Coach Cut. And I'm like, you're exactly right. But to have those guys' influences, and then, fortunate enough at the end of the 21 season, early 22, to get the call from Coach Kelly to go to UCLA. And couldn't be more fired up. I always studied him, Oregon, UCLA, and the NFL. And I'm really excited about this offense and how I'm going to grow as an offensive coach. And man, did I. But I was blown away by how similar the two were. And
Really?
the two, first of all, they're Hall of Famers, no doubt Hall of Famers, but how much they love developing players and how they both took pride in being the best developmental programs in the country. I learned so much. And I think at both places, how much they invested in those players, those guys would run through walls for Coach Kelly and Coach Cut because they knew that Coach Kelly and Coach Cut loved them. And they had their own different ways of showing it. One's from New Hampshire, one's from Alabama. But, man, there's a lot of ways to do this, and there's a lot of coaches that have won. But I can't imagine having worked under two better people and influences at a young age. And when I was in California, you met my wife, Natalie. There's nothing
Yes.
about her that screams LA girl. She's from Clinton, Tennessee. But Coach Kelly, his wife, they took us in like family. We ate Thanksgiving dinner with them. He's like an older brother. And I would do anything for that man and Coach Cut. First class individuals.
Another person you worked with at UCLA that I actually got to meet a few weeks after being with you this spring, Brice McDonald. And
The GOAT.
He oozes intensity. So I
Yes.
wonder if you have a favorite story about Bryce McDonald. And I want to mention right here, he oozes intensity because he's a former U.S. Marine Corps infantry officer who won a freaking Purple Heart,
Purple Heart. Yeah.
the
Big detail.
ultimate for our country.
Yeah, I have a few Brice McDonald stories. So Brice and I are very close. Like I remember I'm there, so I don't remember the date. I get to UCLA in January. My wife is in Durham, North Carolina, worrying about selling a house, all that kind of stuff. So I'm there trying to learn the offense. I don't know when did it, like, pretty late, whatever. My wife's gone, so I'm just there to learn the offense, whatever. And Brice was like, hey, "Get out of here! Come on, you're coming over the house. Whatever, I'm gonna take you. You're gonna meet my wife, Janet." He's just that kind of guy, and he was the absolute best in the off season. We hung out; our families hung out all the time. His son Thomas is going to the Naval Academy. Great family man and a great example. And he just did an unbelievable job of managing people. I mean, you could tell he's been in some real stuff, and like
Yeah.
nothing ever phased him. To quote Brice McDonald, "The path is the path." So it didn't matter what happened; he was always like this. And reminds me a lot of Kirk Benedict, who I worked with at Duke, who's now at Georgia.
Yeah.
Um, Unbelievable leaders, and they definitely both made me better.
That's awesome. I knew you would have some fascinating insight there. Now I want to ask you a little bit more of a fun one because I got to spend some time around Quinn Billerman. So I'm wondering who's the best basketball player on your coaching staff? Is it QB? Is it you? Or we know it's not George Quarles. We'll get to what he might be the best at in a minute.
He's the best of a lot.
So who's the best basketball player on the Austin Peay coaching staff?
I don't know that I could give you an answer to that one. That one's hard, but I will say when we played knockout as a team, it came down to two people, Quinn Biller and myself, and I ended up victorious. That's all I'll say, John. But I think in noon hoops, which I do not participate in, Quinn's team usually does win. I'll give
What?
him that. That'll be the last nice thing I say about Coach Biller.
Come on now.
Oh,
Um,
God.
Best golfer on staff. I feel like I know this one.
You know that answer. It's Coach Quarles and A close.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, another fun one. High school teammate. Well, first of all, I should disclose we both have East Tennessee roots. So unfortunate for you, this is not the first time we've shared a video screen together because you did a show called High School Heroes way
A few
back in
years
the
ago.
day. A few years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have hair as good as you then, but I have more than I have now. You were teammates with Harrison Smith, who's still playing, who's going to be a pro
Ain't
football.
that crazy? Still
Crazy.
playing.
I know. I was going to joke though that you're going to have the longer career in football, even though he's still playing, because you're going to be in football a lot longer than him, probably. Who's the better athlete, Jeff Faris or Harrison Smith?
Not even close. I got a lot of pride and confidence. Trust me, that's not my problem, but not even close. And one thing I'll say about Harrison, we played for the Sacred Heart Eagles together with Coach Turner at Gibbs. Shout out Coach Turner. And so, like, from middle school to high school, we're always on the same teams. And obviously tremendously talented. But one thing maybe people may not know about Harrison Smith is he is the hardest worker in any organization he's a part of. So to have the success that he's had, if there's anybody deserving, it would be Harrison Smith. And no one hates attention more and does it for the right reason, has a more genuine heart than Harrison Smith. And, how fortunate was I, again, to be around great people and to learn from them. Because when he started to maybe be recruited, same guy. When he started to be a great college player, same guy. When he became a Pro Bowler for, the millionth time, same exact guy. And he's the absolute best.
You're back on the road again this week against a ranked opponent in Abilene Christian. It's also a
Defending UAC champs.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it's also a conference game, UAC, United Athletic Conference, I believe. Some amalgamation of teams out there. But what do you like about this team, or what have you learned through already having two road games and two road games at FBS schools? I should note, not only did you beat MTSU, you had a one possession game with Georgia, I think, deep into that contest before, only giving up 28 to the Dogs, who just hung 40 plus on an SEC rival in Tennessee last week. And what do you know about your team? What have you learned about your team that will travel this week for a conference game?
Yeah, I love our team. And I love, the way that this group has attacked everything we've thrown at them. we knew going into the season, they released our schedule in advance. So we knew the challenges we'd have early. And I told Dr. LaCar, our president, thank you so much. We'll play the whole, 1990s SC East, whatever's going to get us ready for conference play. And to see the way that we've grown week to week, to take another Coach Cuttism, after the week 1 win against MTSU, we win that game by 20 points. We're up 21-0. It really should have been 28-0 at the half, but we find a way 21-7 to end up winning the game by 20. We grew in the second half. And then what Coach Cut would always say is we got to be the most improved team in the country from week 1 to week 2. It wasn't perfect at Georgia, but you're right. It's first to goal inside the 5. We're one play away from having a one-score game in the fourth quarter between the hedges. And we had a goal line stand at the end of the first half, which was unbelievable. One of the best things I've ever been a part of. Incredible job by our defensive staff. But what I love about this team is that whatever challenge or adversity we try to throw at them, they grow through it. And we've not been perfect, but what happens is when we challenge them, they always respond. And it's been so fun to be a part of. We knew this group was different well before we kicked off in Murfreesboro. And they've surpassed expectations. And my favorite part is, you have the big win in Murfreesboro, big win against Morehead State in a lot of ways. And these guys are excited to get back to work because they know that, man, we have a lot of getting better to do. And we have a chance to be a special team if we can attack those things. But I think we're far from playing our best football, but I like our trajectory.
Once again, he is the mayor of Stashville, Austin Peay head coach Jeff Faris. I'm John Brice, a football scoop here on the Our Coaching Network podcast. I want to ask a little bit more there about Stashville, Clarksville, Tennessee, and that is you've got power conference guys on your roster. You've got guys from all over on your roster. How have you been able to do that, and how much do you think it helps that you have been in power conference football?
So on my interview, I'm visiting a Notre Dame transfer on a Wednesday, and I drive down Wednesday night. I'm with Coach Kelly, and I drive down Wednesday night to interview Thursday. And I get in late. I drive down around downtown. They got Christmas lights up. This is in early December. And I call my wife, and I'm like, she was in Clinton at the time. I was like, honey, you may want to see this place. Like, this place is nice. The stadium was lit up. I'd never been to Austin Peay. I had heard of Austin Peay, had a ton of respect, but I was blown away. And when I met with Gerald Harrison, the athletic director at the time, and Dr. Michael Licari, we had a vision to build a program for sustained success. The best part was that Gerald Harrison, we were together at Duke when I was a player and as a coach. So we knew exactly how together we were going to build this thing. And there's no shortcuts. And when I was on campus and after meeting with the leadership and seeing that the support was from the top down, I knew we could recruit to this place. And it was about recruiting, obviously, more talented players, upgrading the roster, but the right kind of people. And, this community, John, has blown me, my wife, our kid away. We've been great places, but the support, our game environment Saturday against Morehead State, the Gov Walk, the stands were packed. I mean, it was unbelievable. And our kids had an absolute blast. But I knew when I stood on this campus on my interview that we had a chance to be special. We could build something that could last.
When you have that kind of community support, I know it's important for everyone, but how much do you sense that your players appreciate that, feed off of that, notice that, picks them up? Just how much does that stadium crowd on Saturday, how much does it carry you through the next week?
Yes, I think it's more than that. And to answer your question, we've got guys from Mississippi State and North Carolina, Chapel Hill. They've been at places, right? Their experience here is better than where they've been. And, Division II guys say that. SEC guys say the same thing. And, if we can get you on campus for an official visit, we have a real chance of signing guys. And the experience is much more than Saturdays. We play at home 6 or 7 Saturdays out of the 365 days a year. But one part of it is that during the week, we're going to bring in a leader in the community. Maybe it's Jim Durrett, who's going to talk to the guys and give them advice that's going to help them long after their playing days are over. Leo Mian, Larry Riccone. These guys are big-time people in our town that they don't have to help us out, but they do it because they love Austin Peay and they want to give back. And I've never heard, John, what can I do to help more than since I moved to Stashville, Tennessee.
That's awesome. One more fun one I've got to ask about is you had a big man touchdown this past weekend. You guys put
That
on
was awesome.
You guys put up one of the largest rushing totals in team history. You beat Moorhead, I think 56-7. But you had a fifth-year senior, Chandler Curtin.
Yes.
So, how long was this play in the works, or was it spur of the moment, or what dictated that you were going to get the big fella into the end zone, or the opportunity to get into the end zone? He got himself into the end zone.
This was all Coach Billerman's design, but something that we brought up in a game plan meeting on Tuesday. So we had a chance to practice it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we knew, if we get within the 2 yard line, we're going to call this play because Chandler Curtin is everything that's right with Austin Peay. Chandler was here, had success, and then there's a coaching change, and a lot of the team leaves. I don't, we had an empty locker room, and he decided to stay because he loved this place and build a culture that's going to last for a long time. And he deserves that. He works his tail off every single day and epitomizes what we want in a gov. And that was fun because he has never, ever done that in his career. Youth league, middle school, high school, had a rushing touchdown. So to get him that. And then the best thing was that the most important or the most excited kid was Chris Parson. And that's how you know you have a great team. And we talked about Will Hardrick earlier. But when the guys are more excited for other people's success, that's a team.
And that leads me, and we're about to wrap up here with Jeff Faris, head coach at Austin Peay. Again, I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com on the Our Coaching Network podcast. But that leads me to, you talked about, and we talked in the spring about how much work you had to do with the roster because your predecessor took a lot with him out west. But now you're having success. You've instilled your culture. Do you get a sense that for all the talk about the transfer portal, if you still build the program the right way, you got a chance to hang on to guys and develop a program in that way?
No doubt. And the game is attacked all the time, but you still win with culture. And year one, we made a conscious decision that we're going to put the culture first. There's probably some players that we could have played that were more talented. We were not going to do that. We were not going to take any shortcuts. And it's kind of striking or shocking maybe how similar this was to Duke in 2008. And we took the same exact blueprint. Coach Cutt would say discipline and conditioning. We say discipline and finish. And we built this thing really, there were no players left. Chandler was here. Caden Williams was here. There was a few pieces that were here. Ellis. But a lot of the guys that we're counting on now, they had never played before. And we were able to build a culture. And then because the culture was strong, guys believed in year one, we were not close to talented, but we were 3 plays away from winning the league. We were able to retain a nucleus of kids that understood. And we would not be playing as well as we are if it wasn't for that nucleus of guys. And what that nucleus did was that they recruited other kids that love football, were selfless, were about the right things. And I think that's why we're playing and improving every week because we've built it with a strong foundation and attracted the right kind of kids. And I've got to give the credit, John, to our assistant coaching staff. We're never going to sacrifice on football character. We've recruited guys that love football and are here for the right reasons. I think that's critical.
Kind of wrap it up with this one then. You just referenced all of that. Well, I might sneak in one extra one after this, but
Go ahead, man.
what can Austin Peay football be? You've talked about the culture. You've had a statement win about as good as it can get by dominating MTSU on the road in Murfreesboro, a program coached by Derek Mason that went on the road and had a comeback win against Nevada last week. And Jeff Choate does a really nice job with the Wolfpack. What's the future? What's the road look like for Austin Peay football? Where can you take this program?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for Austin Peay. I think we've got, everything we need to be extremely, extremely successful. And I think what it comes down to is us, coaches and players, continuing to double down on our process. But you talk about community support. You talk about great school, great administration. We've got those things. We got tremendous facilities. And just the continued investment in our process, continuing to recruit high school and portal ranks, because we've signed 2 huge high school classes. That's something that's important because you can't live in the portal for offensive and defensive line. It doesn't work that way. You got to grow them. And we didn't have that opportunity when we first got here. So now we're able to sign high school O-linemen and grow them to where we don't have to go in the portal and get 8, if that makes sense. But I think the sky's the limit. We're just getting started. We've had some success. But like I said earlier, our guys know that our best football is ahead of us, and we're going to grow every single week. And we love that challenge of attacking things that we need to fix to grow and improve.
All right, the last one I promise here. We've referenced a few times that it's Stashville. It's Stashville because your mascot is the
I got a
Gov.
Stashville shirt on right now.
There you go. I
Yeah,
love
baby.
that. There you go. So your mascot is the Gov. He's got the handlebar stash. What's it take for head coach Jeff Faris to grow the stash? Is it a UAC title? Is it a playoff berth? I want right now to know on this podcast what it's going to take to get Jeff Faris to grow the stash. You're the mayor of Stashville.
Genetically, I'm not sure I can. So in the summer, I won't shave for like a month, and I get like some right here and some right here, but which is crazy. I'm half 11. Like my dad can grow a beard in 2 days. I did not get that gene. Two of my brothers can, one can't. But yeah, I would love to. But unfortunately, I don't think I'm capable of doing that.
I think I'm still going to try to find a way to hold you to it if this season continues on the trajectory that it is, and there's no reason for it not to. Coach, good luck the rest of the way. We thank you a bunch for visiting with us.
John, you're the absolute best. Thank you so much for your time. I'm a huge fan. Let's go, Peay.
All right. There you go. Austin Peay head coach Jeff Faris. I'm John Brice of FootballScoop.com on the Our Coaching Network podcast. Until the next one, enjoy this one.